Hello and welcome to my show, Searching for Integrity. My name really is John Smith, and I'm searching for people with integrity. Why? Because our country suffers from IDD, Integrity Deficit Disorder. Today, we have an author and her book, Valerie Galloway, and her book is Addiction.
It's addiction, steal, kill, and destroy. Satan's agenda to terminate you, and it's a spiritual guide to overcoming addiction and loss.
Very good. Thank you. I can't read my own rice.
It's okay.
So, your book, here it is, Addiction, Steal, Kill, and Destroy. You know, those telemarketer people call you, they die all day long. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
I'd like to throw things at them, you know. I was looking at your information and the background that was drawing for me where you are, where you've been, and then of course where you're going to be.
Yeah.
You want to sum that out a little bit for me?
Okay, well, first of all, John, I want to thank you for having me on your show today. I'm happy for this opportunity to be here. I definitely feel honored and blessed and privileged for you, bringing me on your show to talk about my book and spiritual warfare, which is, a big part of what the book's about. But initially, John, I came here from Oxford, England. I was born and raised there. Lived there pretty much all my young life until 18. I emigrated here with my family. As a matter of fact, my mother met my stepfather at the time. They're both deceased now, but she met him when he was stationed in the Air Force at Upper Hayford Air Force Base. He was a sergeant in the Air Force. And she used to frequent these NCO clubs. And so that's where they met. And he was doing like a 5-year stint in England. And so when his assignment was up, he was sent back to Waco, Texas. He tried to get citizenship in England, but they weren't having it. And so he ended up coming back to Waco, Texas. That was his hometown. But at that point, he had emphysema. And so my mother came over, they got married, and that was our ticket way, my sister and I, to this country. So I was 18 at the time. So I finished all my early, schooling in England and came here and got into college.
Well, Baylor has a pretty good college in Waco.
Yes, you know it.
Yes,
you know it well.
My sons went to Austin for UT.
And, yes, I know that.
And they're of course they're doing well.
Nice.
Now I'm dealing with the grandchildren.
How many do you have?
Let's not talk. That's too many.
Okay.
But thanks for asking. Did you like Waco? How did you adapt to the Texas culture?
Oh, no. I have to be honest with you. So I grew up in an era, John, where I watched, I'm sure you remember these old shows, old soap opera shows, Dallas, Dynasty, Folk and Crest,
Sure. Yeah.
J.R. Ewing. And so when I came to Texas, I was assuming all of Texas was like that. So when I landed in Waco, Texas, no less. Now, mind you, this was before that whole David Koresh compound incident. I think that occurred in '96. And so that's what put Waco on the map. But before that, it was a little, town that you blink your eye and you go right on through. So no, I have to be honest, it wasn't my favorite.
Well, where did you go for being favored? Did you on the weekends? Do you go places?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got out and about. It just really, it was a culture shock for me. It took some time for me to assimilate.
I see.
Ultimately, I ended up on the East Coast because it was, it was a place that reminded me more of England in terms of being able to navigate and get
Mm.
out and about and public transportation and, and people walk in the streets as opposed to what felt to me was like more like a ghost town at
I
that
can understand.
time when I
Yes,
came.
at that time, right. No,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
changed a
understand
lot.
that. Yeah, quite
Hmm.
a bit.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the culture and the people in the culture seem to be much more rapid about things than they were 10 to 20, 30 years.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just
Yeah.
it just moves so fast, so quick.
Yes.
Maybe it's
Yes.
computers, maybe it's internet. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's some of all of that. I went back last year and I was so surprised how different the Texas is now compared to what it was when I first arrived. I was assuming they'd be wearing those big 10-gallon hats and the cowboy boots. I didn't see any of that. I really
Right,
didn't. It was
right.
shocking. It was shocking, because I honestly I thought that that was part of their fabric. That wasn't going anywhere. The cowboy boots and the hat. Now that there were a few, I'll admit, but for the most part, I didn't see hardly anyone wearing it.
Well, being there in Texas, as you were, and as you have, um, you've decided to write um, your book.
Yeah.
Were you writing the book then, or
No, so the book came about, John, because of a certain circumstance that occurred in my life. So as you said, I'm the author of a book called Addiction, Steal, Kill, and Destroy. And, I signed with Trinity Broadcast Network. They're a Christian TV station. They're also in the publishing arm of getting people's work out there. And so, actually, right now, my book is currently in the process of being devised for a commercial, for the distribution and
Mhm.
circulation process of my book. So they published me, they promoted me, and we'll be distributing the book globally. But the book is really about Ephesians 6:12, which is, we're all spirit beings and we're wrestling, according to the Bible, against principalities and powers. So my book is based on the tragic life and death of someone who was very special and dear to me. And, he was in our sphere for 10 impactful years. And so he was someone I lost as a result of the above circumstances that the book is, the title is all about. So he gave up hope after basically losing his family, his home, and subsequently his job. And he was found dead on the streets after a long battle with depression, drugs, and alcohol.
Oh,
So the book is a therapeutic journey from the process of pain through perseverance to purpose to finally finding peace.
well, that's certainly a. I don't guess there's an easy way to find out
No.
what you found. Uh,
Yeah.
that just doesn't come in and drop in your lap and be
Right.
cheery deary. Just doesn't work that way.
Right.
I thought in
Exactly.
looking at the items here that you've really got a beginning of a following. I'll say, especially,
Yes. Yes.
and that's certainly what you want, um,
Yes.
because you want other people to know what you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because he was, I was inspired to write my book about him because he was my soulmate. He was my soul tie. Over time, uh, unfortunately, he essentially spiraled downwards with depression, drugs, and alcohol to numb out his own psychological and sometimes physical pain. And
Mhm.
consequently, he lost all desire and hope with life and just essentially gave up. And so to me, that's the enemy's tendency to lead people to this type of disillusionment, disappointment, discouragement, and all kinds of fears. And perhaps, the enemy, when I say the enemy, I'm referring to, our arch enemy, the devil, because his greatest weapon, I believe, John, for humanity's downfall is to, go after our weaknesses,
Mm-hmm. Right.
He tends to sabotage all of our hopes and our dreams. And far too many of us are apt to just throw it in the towel too early. The suicide rate is astronomical.
Yes, it is.
And he's behind it all.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. The only problem is for me, I can't prove it.
Yeah.
And it was something that I guess that people looked at in terms of being empowered, that you do your coaching, and that people would want to be empowered, because if they are empowered, then you don't have all the depression and things that not what to do.
Right.
And maybe I should do
Right.
this. So the empowerment that you do is something very, very needed, very necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, as a coach, that's a big part of, what my world is about, is to uplift people. I believe the path to transformation begins when you have a clear vision of what you want out of life, and commit to taking action steps towards it, towards facilitating it. And so as a certified life coach, my niche, as you said, is empowerment coaching. I teach empowerment techniques to students and clients for the purpose of achieving transformational development and growth. I also devised a 5-week course to help people navigate grief and loss, that supplements my book. And, it's about helping people find peace after the experience of grief, because that was the impetus for why I devised the course, my own grief.
Well, one of the list here should be in my book, or your coaching. You're a certified dream builder.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so one of the things I needed to do, John, when I lost, our loved one, I needed to find a way to build myself back up again, because I was in danger of spiraling downwards myself. And so I discovered Mary Morrissey. She is the founder of the Dream Builder program. So for me, what I did, John, to lift myself up and out of depression, was to lean on more self-development courses. So overall, through the Dream Builder program, I got certified as it's called a Brave Thinking Certified Dream Builder Coach. So that's a life coach certification, as well as the ICF Life Coach International Coaching Federation license that I have. And I also have a master's degree in social science, but coaching, empowerment, for me, comes more from a spirituality perspective, for the purpose of my, clients achieving spiritual transformation. And my target population, my niche, is, faith seekers, spiritualists, agnostics, lukewarm Christians.
Hello, Mac. Mac.
Hey.
She lost her sound.
I'm here.
Oh, we're back.
Don't worry,
I'll edit
this. Don't worry, I'll edit this portion out. We can continue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you a question, a Texas question.
Okay.
Valerie. And I've been a lot around the state most of my adult life, mostly in Dallas and to San Antonio, New Braunfels. But one of the things here I'm not familiar with. It's the Texas State Technical Institute.
Oh, okay. So at the time it was called TSTI. And again, this was it's similar to a trade school. And so I went there in pursuance of commercial art and advertising. And
Uh-huh.
it was right near like an airport hangar
Mhm.
for people that want to pursue careers in aviation. So it was that kind of a school that catered to all those kinds of different, career paths that people have. It was called TST. I'm not sure if it's still there. Now, mind you, John, this was I attended during 1983 to 1985. And it was called TSTI, Texas State Technical Institute. And it was based in Waco, Texas.
It was in Waco. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That was on purpose. Let's see. Coaching mantras, breaking the chains that bind you.
Yes. Yes. That comes about because, well, first of all, I believe I think it was Muhammad Ali who coined this phrase. If
I
your
wrote it
mind
down.
can,
I wrote it down.
yes, yes.
Terrific. Go ahead and
If your
speak.
mind, right? If
Go
your
ahead.
mind can conceive it, your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. And so, yes, I'm all about these inspirational mantras to, help uplift people, to give them hope and encouragement in life in terms of, how they can pursue their lives if they just believe in themselves. And so, yes, breaking the chains that bind you is my coaching mantra, and it speaks to sort of releasing yourself from bondages that tend to hold you in shackles.
Right.
Emotional bondages, emotional bondages.
Now, the bondages, does that come before or after spirit warfare?
Well, for me personally, I would say it sort of goes hand in hand because, when it comes to Satan's agenda is, well, there's two agendas at work in our lives, where we go through pain and suffering. So, you have to look at the Ephesians, biblical chapter on spiritual warfare.
Right.
So our arch enemy Lucifer is a demonic spirit. He doesn't want anyone. Now, I don't know if you're a believer, but I certainly believe that he doesn't want any of us to survive, much less thrive in life. He doesn't want you to discover the best of what God has for you. He wants you to wallow in suffering. And so that's the bondage that I'm referring to. He wants to hold you in continual bondage, keeping you in a constant state of despair through your circumstances. He wants to tear you and all your relationships down. And so his agenda is to get you to react to what you see in your everyday, mundane circumstances rather than what God has said he has for you.
What do you, I can't really put it on you, but you're a good example. What do you look at when you see people and how you view of them in terms of, are they going to make it or not? Are they going to, does it go high or low? What are they going to do?
Yeah. Well, for me, John, it's all about awareness. You have to know what the enemy is trying to do in your life, what he's trying to sabotage in your life. And if you read in my book, what I subscribe to is it's all mindset. It's the way you look at life. It's your paradigm. You have to, if it's a negative paradigm, you have to break it. You have to break that cycle. Otherwise, you will stay locked in. Therein lies the bondage of what Satan is trying to, what his agenda is, and that is to destroy you. So you
Right.
have to find ways to lift yourself up, to redeem yourself, to restore yourself, and get out of that psychological hell. Because that's what tends to bring people to the level of suicide. Where you may not believe that, but I certainly do. It's a prison. It's an imprisonment that the enemy tends to, bring you into, and it's a cycle that ultimately spirals you downwards if you don't, find within yourself the awareness of what agenda he has for you to bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself, John, an uplifter. I'm an edifier. I'm an encourager. I'm a guider. As an ambassador for the Great Commission, this is where Jesus calls upon his faithful followers, myself, to spiritually impact people in a more positive way, to lift them out, to help them find their inner strengths, their peace, their gifts, their talents, their abilities, helping them, connect to their divine inner spirit guide towards discovering their ultimate dreams, their goals, and objectives in life, and their purpose.
There's a person in the preface, and that person, let's see if I can do this right. What happens to all those people that claim to be religious, but don't have an actual relationship and connection to God?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? That's sad. So sad.
Yeah. I used to work at a hospital, a major New York City hospital. And oftentimes, John, I met with people on the cusp of, death. I don't know if you've ever read Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's book, The 5 Stages of Grief.
I know the title.
Yes. So this is a book about people that are on the verge of dying. It's about death and dying. And so when I worked at the hospital, I encountered many people on the cusp, in the hospital beds that were palliative care patients. And, I would talk to them about their belief systems. And it really saddened me that some of them, even on their deathbed, even if it were just for the sake of comfort, refused to believe in the afterlife, and to me, the afterlife is the be all and end all, I would think we all would want to go to heaven, but some people went to their grave just fighting it to the last breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were talking about the statement from Muhammad Ali. If your mind can conceive it, your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. An event came when I was in the Army in basic training, and that was in they were in Louisiana, Fort Hood. And guess who was coming to basic training?
Muhammad Ali. Really?
They got our one company that consisted of about probably 80 people, and they chose me and our dormitory, and they were telling me what you should do and how you should do it and do the things that you can do and making weapon and so forth. And I was ready. I wanted to see that. I was ready. But then
really,
he was on the opposite of that. He conceived it, heart believe it, and then he achieved it. He was not going to be in the Army from the beginning. Yeah, it broke my heart.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
I want to ask you for your listeners, my listeners, to find your book. Where can they find it? They're going to need to
So
organize.
right, yeah, thank you, John. So you can purchase my book on Amazon. Yeah, you can purchase it as a Kindle, which is $9.99, or you could purchase it as an actual hardcover. Well, it's not hardcover actually. Let me retract that. It's paperback, but the paperback copy is $19.99, I believe. So you can purchase it on Amazon. I'm also in Walmart and Barnes and Nobles. And I just recently got a 5-star review from the online book club organization.
Fantastic.
Yes, I'm quite proud of that. And you can also find me through my website. It's called mindset and empowermentcoach.com. That's mindset and empowermentcoach.com. You'll see all the different podcasts I've been on. You'll find my book information, as well as my YouTube channel and my Instagram and TikTok platform.
A lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Good for you. I'm glad you're doing that. I know
Thank
that
you.
my listeners are tuning in, and they want to say to you and me, searching for integrity, and they probably enjoyed the half an hour with Valerie Galloway. Got the rest.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed being here.
That's good. That always
Yeah.
makes it different, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of being drilled one way or the other, and that you get listeners here for this. And I always say to them as we leave, so long and happy trails to all until we meet again. Thanks for coming by.